All right, so today we're going to break down a story you probably think you know inside and out. It's become the ultimate metaphor for overcoming impossible odds. But what if the underdog was never really the underdog at all? Let's dive deep into the classic battle of David versus Goliath.
At its heart, this whole story really makes you question what power even means. Is it always about being the biggest and the strongest? Or could it be that an unconventional approach, a totally different way of looking at the fight, is actually the most powerful weapon you can have? To figure that out, we've got to go back to the beginning. So, let's set the scene. Our story kicks off in the Valley of Elah. And on this particular day, it's not just a valley, it's a valley of pure fear. The air is just thick with tension. And for one of the armies here, things are looking completely hopeless. Picture this. You've got two armies, the Israelites and the Philistines, staring each other down from opposite hills. But this is not a fair fight, not by a long shot. The Israelites are completely paralyzed with fear. Meanwhile, the Philistines, they are brimming with confidence. And the reason for this huge imbalance? Well, they have a secret weapon, a champion that no one thinks can be beaten.
Meet Goliath. This guy isn't just a soldier, he's a giant of a man, said to be over 9 feet tall. He's basically a walking fortress made of bronze armor, and he carries a spear so heavy its tip alone weighed more than a normal sword. And every single day, he stomps out and bellows his challenge across the valley.
And here's the deal he offers. This isn't just a challenge, it's psychological warfare. The stakes are insane, winner takes all. The losing side becomes slaves, and for 40 days straight, this taunt has just been echoing across the valley, absolutely crushing the morale of the Israelite army. Nobody dares to step up.
So, with an entire army of trained soldiers frozen in terror, you'd think the hero would come from their ranks, right? Nope, he shows up from the most unexpected place imaginable. He's a total unknown.
And this is David. He's not a warrior. He's a shepherd boy, the youngest son in his family. His only reason for even being there is to drop off some bread and cheese for his older brothers. He's a complete outsider in this world of war.
So David shows up, and he sees it all. The terrified soldiers, the arrogant giant, this daily ritual of humiliation. He hears the same taunts they've all been hearing. But he sees things differently. So what on earth does this shepherd kid decide to do when faced with a monster that has a whole army of grown men shaking in their boots?
What he does next is the absolute turning point of this whole story. He completely throws out the rule book. He decides he's going to fight, but he's going to do it on his own terms with a completely different kind of strength.
He goes straight to King Saul and says, "I'll do it." And his reasoning has nothing to do with being a great fighter. It's just this simple, powerful declaration of faith. He believes he can win, not because he's strong, but because his cause is. The king, who's pretty desperate at this point, basically says, "Okay, fine, what do we got to lose?"
Okay, so what happens next is actually kind of funny. The king, thinking conventionally, tries to suit David up in his own royal armor. But David's just a boy. The armor is way too big, the sword is too heavy, he can't even move properly. So he takes it all off. Instead, he grabs his own weapon, a simple shepherd's sling. He's not choosing weakness, he's choosing what he knows. He's choosing speed and accuracy over heavy armor and brute force.
And just like that, the stage is set for one of the most unbelievable duels in history. A shepherd boy, armed with nothing but a sling and a few stones, walks out into the valley to face this armored giant. And you can bet both armies are watching in just stunned silence.
I mean, just look at this. On paper, it's a joke. It's not even a contest. The difference in perceived power is almost laughable. Everyone watching knows it, and you can be sure Goliath knows it. The giant is a walking tank. David is a kid with a stick.
Can you just imagine being Goliath for a second? This absolute beast of a warrior sees this little kid walking toward him with a shepherd's staff and a sling. He doesn't just laugh, he's insulted. He roars with contempt, mocking David and everything he stands for.
But while Goliath is all noise and fury, David is the picture of calm and focus. He's not intimidated, he's not scared, he's in his zone. He takes this one deep, steadying breath, tuning out all the noise, preparing for the one shot he knows he's going to get.
And then, in a move that absolutely nobody saw coming, David starts running towards the giant. He's not backing down, he's on the attack. He's turning his supposed weakness, his lack of armor, into his greatest strength, speed.
What happens next is over in a heartbeat, but it's the moment that people will be talking about for thousands of years.
It's the moment this whole story has been building to.
And this breaks it down perfectly. While he's running, David is whipping his sling around his head. Now, you have to understand, a sling in the hands of an expert isn't a toy, it's a projectile weapon. A skilled slinger could fire a stone at over 100 miles per hour with pinpoint accuracy. And that stone flies straight and true and hits Goliath in the one tiny spot where he isn't wearing armor, right on his forehead.
And here is the killer detail. He picked up 5 stones, but he only needed one. One perfect shot, one moment of precision was all it took to completely neutralize the giant's overwhelming advantage.
Goliath just stops. He's stunned, his legs buckle, and this mountain of a man comes crashing down into the dirt. Just like that, the weeks of fear and insults are over. The Philistine army sees their unbeatable champion fall, and they panic. They break and run. And the Israelite soldiers? They go from being paralyzed with fear to letting out this massive, triumphant roar.
So in the aftermath, the reactions are about what you'd expect. The army and the king are going nuts, celebrating this kid who just saved all of them. But David's reaction is the most interesting part. Even in this moment of incredible triumph, he stays humble. He says his victory didn't come from his own skill, but from a higher power.
And that's really the core lesson here, right? That's why this story has stuck around for thousands of years. It's this powerful reminder that our real strengths aren't always the obvious ones. Sometimes courage and faith can be more powerful than any sword or shield.
So, as we wrap this up, the story kind of leaves us with a question for ourselves. We all face our own giants, right? Challenges in our lives that just seem impossibly big. The story of David asks us to think, are we looking at our problems the right way? And what are our unconventional tools, our hidden strengths that we already have to win our own battles?